now to save our history.
Indeed. Well, for more on this, we're joined by Michael Savage. He's host of the Savage Nation podcast. Michael, great to have you back on the program. Critical race theory, I'm not a parent. I honestly didn't know much about it until we covered it quite frequently on this show. And I've learned a lot thanks to these parents, especially in Loudoun County, not far from here, that are speaking out on it. Can you explain for our viewers and especially for the media that is denying it, just how prevalent it is? Because from what I understand, it's in some schools it's taught as CRT, in other schools it's disguised as something else.
My blood's boiling listening to Chuck Todd. I wanted to reach through the screen and smack him in the face. Does he have children? Can you imagine having a little child who goes to school and is told that he's no good, his race is no good, he's evil, his parents are evil, his nation is evil? These are the same SOBs who lectured us for 20 years about don't be a bully, tolerate everything. And now they're beating up white children in schoolrooms. And I'm not going to mince words. You can cut me off if you have to. I know you probably agree with me. I can't take this anymore. And there's only one solution to it. Sue the schools if they do it to your child for child abuse. And you will win, because that's the only way to stop this. These children are being humiliated and hurt and damaged for life by a psychotic woman who came up with this lie called critical race theory, which is nothing but racism towards white people. No other race is targeted. I could go on, and I could go on and on. I've studied history. I know where this starts. I know where it ends. It started in the same kind of thing started in Germany. The Jews were no good. The Jews did this. The Jews did that. The next thing you knew, they were being excluded from swimming pools. They didn't put them in concentration camps overnight. I studied this intimately. I am Jewish. I know how this starts. Attacks on white people is exactly what was done to the Jews in Germany in the 30s. Don't fall for this garbage. This is the road to the death camps. Stand up to these bastards and sue them.
Michael, to that point,
I have nothing else to say.
Michael, I worry sometimes that if we continue to always use the phrase critical race theory, that we might allow the left to hide in effect. And what I mean is they'll say, oh, no, we're not teaching CRT, but they are, in fact, teaching some other version of anti-white racism. So I'd prefer to call it anti-white racism as a term, because let's face it, no matter what flavor this takes or what shape this takes, the goal always is to shame white people and tell them that they have inherited guilt. Your thoughts?
You said it better than I could, and I'm very emotional on this issue because, to me, children are sacred. Anyone who abuses children should have bad things done to them. And now it's being done institutionally by so-called progressives, and I know what it's doing to the children. Well, one woman has sued them. Her biracial son refused to confess his white dominance. Are you listening to this? These psychopaths. Now, I wrote about this last month when I did a podcast, Critical Race Theory is Racist, Resist, and now it's come back again. Here's a biracial boy, and they try to tell him that he's no good because he's mixed race, and he wouldn't do it. In his class, William, along with the students, were asked to publicly reveal his race, gender, religious, and sexual identities. Do you realize how psychotic this is to do this to children? Wait, and then the teacher wanted him to attach derogatory labels to those identities. And then he was asked to undo and unlearn his beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that stem from oppression. I rest my case. If it was my child, I would sue that school. I'd make sure someone went to jail for child abuse. Now, I raised 2 children. I have a grandchild. If they ever did that to my grandchild, well, let's stop right here, because I will not tolerate the abuse of any children, including my own. There's nothing more to say. And you say, well, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? Do what they've been doing for years. Sue them. That's the only language they understand. Now, you may say, what chance do we have in liberal courts? Take your chances in the courts. There's no other option right now. In these ritzy schools in Manhattan, the parents are pulling the kids out of the schools. That they understand, $65,000 a year tuition. You can't do this to children. It's child abuse. To do this
Michael,
to a child.
What do you say to the parents out there who are standing up for their kids, that are dealing with this in their schools, and then to those as well that are saying, hey, you know what, my kid's not being taught this, it's not happening in my school? What's your advice?
Who would say that? Who said Chuck Todd? Does Chuck Todd have children? The only
No,
child the only child Chuck Todd has is himself in a mirror. He's not a fully grown adult to say a thing like that. Why do you think parents are standing up? Because they're trying to protect their children from these leftist monsters, these Hitlerian monsters. And I'm using the word Hitlerian very selectively. People say you're going overboard, you lost the argument the minute you bring up Hitler. No, I didn't lose the argument. Those who do not know their history are condemned to repeat it. That's not Hitler. That's Santayana, the Spanish philosopher. We are repeating history. When you start attacking a race through their children, the next step is even worse.
Michael,
and worse,
listen, we got to go. I totally concur, though. You're doing important work. Please keep up the fight. We cannot normalize anti-white racism, and that's what a lot of Democrats and the media
up to the bullies,
are trying to
sue
do
them.
right now.
Thank you,
we
folks,
will.
for
Hey,
having
thank
me
you so
on.
much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. It looks like the nation's highest just exposed the entire